Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This budget presentation is a short presentation, shorter than last year, I promise you. And
That's
then
going to help you get it approved.
and then budget books will be passed out. And the reason we're not passing them out now is because I'd kind of like your attention up here, because I'm going to give you the 30,000-foot view of that. How many pages is it? That many pages in this budget book. Right now it is posted on the web, on the county's homepage, as well as this budget presentation itself is also posted on the web. So those are available to anybody in the community who would like to take another look. I want to start out with a couple of commendations, a couple of great deals of appreciation for some folks that have done a lot of heavy lifting on this budget effort this cycle. And Jennifer Josie, our finance director, I need to start with you, Jenny. Wow, way to go. And to your staff, Trish and Bill, who are among many staff in the finance department, but were two of the other key individuals who helped to innovate our way through this, which is just truly the story of this budget. And the other person I want to thank is you, Jamie. You have Jamie Gabert, my assistant. You and then all of the directors and staff of the county government. You all have worked really hard to pull this together, and I really appreciate that and acknowledge it. And I think that as soon as this is presented to the community, that they will also acknowledge your hard work on this. All right, just in a quick introduction here, as some of you know, my father-in-law passed away a little more than a week ago. His name was Bud Dreier. And he was 89. He was a World War II veteran, joining the 1,000 a day who die. He was a metal worker, and he repaired planes, damaged aircraft in particular. And he was also a crusty guy, and he was a guy that was pretty strong-willed and opinionated, and he didn't hold back his thoughts. And there is one thought I want to share with you to lead off this budget tonight. This is a statement that my father-in-law, Bud, made about the Beatles. Bud said, "A bunch of chimpanzees banging on 55-gallon drums could do better than those long-haired hippie freaks." And I wanted to share that with you because Bud would have really liked this budget. Even he would have really liked this budget. So let's get on with it. Oops, I have a clicker this year. Thanks, Matt. All right. This budget is tight, it's balanced, and it maintains services without increasing our operating levy. It even enhances some services in targeted areas of growing or anticipated needs. The spirit of this budget process is summed up in this quote from Stephen Covey. Balance isn't either or, it's and. And we found a way to do it. By the numbers didn't help us a lot. Equalized valuation, almost double decline of last year. Net new growth, 0.72%. Those are numbers that have been shared through the press already. And those compared with last year's numbers are there. So I'd like to propose for 2013 a tax rate of 5.25, which is $5.25 on $1,000 of home value. Compare that to the tax rate last year, 5.12. And really, truly, the number that we would have in tax rate if the whole budget was flat just because our equalized valuation fell would be 13 cents less than I'm proposing. Okay, so what we've got is, it would be 5.22, and I'm proposing actually 3 cents more, 5.25. Sorry, I misstated. So the operating levy is flat, at $21.3 million. The debt levy's flat at $2.4 million, and only the EMS levy is up 3 cents. So 3 cents difference in a tax rate increase, and if the whole budget was flat, we'd be looking at 5.22 as it was, just because of the equalized valuation decline. The county budget total is $107.7 million, 1.7% over 2012. You know fuel costs have gone up by more than that. Tax levy total, $24.9 million. There are two themes of this budget. One theme is health and safety, and the other is service and strategy. I'm going to take each of these themes in turn. Health and safety. I keep forgetting I have the clicker. It's new, right? All right. Children and families first. Then justice, emergency management and EMS, dispatch, and the healthcare center. Children and families. This budget reorganizes the Division of Children and Families in the Department of Health and Human Services. It integrates child support. We've been talking about that. We know we still have to turn on the switch and change the ordinance and those kinds of things. Space and Property Property Committee had taken this up again last night, and we're moving forward on discovering space options. We have some homework yet to do. And again, my kudos go off to the staff, especially Cindy Mays and Ray Shabilsky and Bill Hanna, who are, along with the other child support staff members, really working extra hard to make this integration happen. If we wouldn't have moved to an integration, we'd be looking at a net loss of 1.5 FTE in child support. Instead, what we're looking at is we get to add another child support specialist, reducing our caseload from 190 cases per person, per staff member, down to 167 within the state benchmark, if you would. And it also answers those gaping holes that we had to give one-time funding for last year. So all of those things are taken care of by integrating child support into the Health and Human Services Department in the section of the Division of Children and Families, I should say. And in doing that, we've got a couple other sections of that Division of Children and Families that I also want to address. One of them is economic support. Economic support section supervisor position. That position is retained in this budget. It continues to meet, it will help us continue to meet the growing state mandates, especially performance measures, which will come with financial penalties if we don't meet those measures in the coming years. And our local needs continue to grow, as you know, in these economic times. It also adds a social worker for child welfare. And the child welfare caseload, I make some notes about it in the presentation here, on the chart here. 22% increase in referrals this first 6 months of 2012 compared with the first 6 months of last year. We've opened 150 new cases for investigation, and that's a 32% increase over the last 6 months of 2011. A growing need, and a need that is addressed in this operational levy flat budget. Justice. You heard last time at the county board meeting, like I did, from the Justice Works organization, and the community spoke loud and clear on numbers of occasions about the importance and the value of what they stand for, what they're working on in this community. And also we heard about the fact that there are many stakeholders in our own county government system who also acknowledge the value of Justice Works' programs to our operation in our system. So I have responded to those things in this budget. The Family Law Information Center has a $10,000 line item in the Clerk of Court's budget. This is the Family Law Information Center just down the hall. It helps us help families who are going through the divorce process to put together a certificate of readiness, so when they show up at court, they've got everything they need so the courts can process their case. Before we had the center, before we had this kind of assistance, what happened was people would show up and they would have incomplete files, and then we would have to cancel and start all over again, and that took court time, court staff time, the judge's time, and so on and so forth. So it's important that we retain this capacity, but what we're going to do is we're going to have fees on a sliding scale. To this point in time, we haven't done a great job at making sure that the revenues for this program, as much as a person can afford in their own poverty guideline or their own income guidelines. We haven't done a good enough job of recouping the revenues that we need to be able to recoup to make this program pay for itself. So that's what the charge is, and Trish Cal-Baker and David Warzala have taken it forward. Trish Cal-Baker, of course, our clerk of court, and then David Warzala, our family court commissioner, acknowledging again that the divorce cases are on the rise in our community. Deferred prosecution program, $20,000 is in the DA's budget. It uses fund balance, not operational levy, because this one is a pilot to start. The other program, Family Law Information Center, has got levy funding in this budget draft right now because it's really important to court efficiency, and we have to make sure that we cover it. At the same time, deferred prosecution program, there are all sorts of benefits to this program. It allows a person to get on a better track in their life after they've made mistakes, domestic violence mistakes sometimes, for example, or AODA-related mistakes, and get back on track through some programs and then avoid having to sit in jail and cost the county money. So anyway, this is a fund balance to start option. It doesn't fulfill the full request that Justice Works had requested for deferred prosecution, but it's a good start, and we'll have to figure our way forward. Volunteers in probation, $50,000 is also in this budget. This is in the Justice Programs budget, and also fund balance to start to see how we build a sustainable future for this program, which is helping us divert people from the revolving door at the jail. Another component of the health and safety theme of this budget is emergency management and EMS, emergency medical services. The history of this program, what I've observed in my 2.5 years in this office, is that it's an either-or situation, as in one mission compromises the other. It's such a stretch to try to do it under in the current design. And so I propose this reorganization, and this budget includes a reorganization that addresses the challenge of either or and gives us the and, which is really important in both of these areas of expertise. It creates a 0.5 LTE EMS assistant that would be focused on the first responder outreach, administrative support, and the whole EMS oversight board support function. And it uses EMS levy. And it also then reassigns the 911 technician duties that are being done currently by Karina Neeb, who is our assistant in the emergency management department, and it reallocates those duties to dispatch and to planning and zoning, the GIS mapping in particular. There may be some overlaps, and we're going to discover our way through that one more. But a lot of this data has to be updated on our maps as it is, so there are all sorts of great bridges, I believe, to be built here, and staff have taken a look at it and agree. And that frees up time then for our current emergency management assistant position, that is Karina Neeb's position, to be transformed by just adding 2 hours a week into a deputy emergency management director. During the 2 floods that I've been part of and the tornadoes in our community and the fact that we are stretched so thin, I can't accept that Portage County needs to operate emergency management on some sort of very fine shoestring. It's too important to make sure that we get it right. And what we're not getting done right now are things related to hazardous materials and the increased requirements from the federal government related to hazmat, hazardous substance preparations and preparedness. And the fact is, we haven't been drilling. We've spent more time in actual emergencies than we have drilling, as in practicing what we've been learning and getting out into all of our far reaches of the county to make sure they're as ready as they need to be for, say, a chemical spill from the railroad. There are so many more railroad cars going by every day, and there are all sorts of chemicals carried on them. That's just one example. This is operating levy. So again, we're looking at creating a much stronger design to respond to our growing population, the growing needs, not only mandates, but growing urgencies related to keeping our population safe. And that's one of our primary jobs. Dispatch. This budget adds 1 FTE communications center manager. This is in the Sheriff's Department. This is the face of dispatch. Right now, we have sort of a shared part-time, other kind of arrangement. What this will allow us to do is to avoid the either or and allow us to kick it up a notch. It's getting much more sophisticated in the 911 realm, much more sophisticated in keeping all the multiple agencies coordinated and on the same pages about protocols and communicating in emergencies. And so this individual will take that on. It also provides an additional additional staff member to back up during busy times. The GeoComms report recently talked a lot about the fact that we are understaffed in dispatch. And this individual will manage the 911 system. So part of what we were doing out of emergency management better belongs over here, where they're actually using dispatch in a more integrated way in their daily process. It also then has another benefit. By doing this, we free up time, the part-time of a lieutenant in the sheriff's department who can then now redirect attention to coordinating and conducting law enforcement training. Healthcare Center. We've continued to work on sustainability. We've continued to make progress in ensuring quality across all areas. This budget reflects a reduced reliance on levy, a decrease of 14.9%. That's $173,186 for anybody who can't see the slide. The transitional funds that were allocated last year, that was $200,000 to help sort of bridge the gap, is no longer needed. We're making progress. The other theme I mentioned to you was service and strategy, so I'd like to touch on a couple of those points. Service. We've retained all services to accomplish our mission in this budget. Technology has really been an important help. No surprise, I'm sure. And not to mention the innovation of lots of staff members who are working really hard and trying to figure out smarter, better, cooler ways to get it done so that we can move forward. Technology, in particular, some of the highlights I'd like to offer you are the nurse call technology. So the call buttons, if you would, in our nursing home. We don't have that right now. We will. Next generation 911 is integrated into the capital projects of the budget. Check imaging equipment for the Treasurer's Office is integrated into the budget. Email and document management system. So some upgrades to our IT system that we use every day and how we retain records technologically. And then the integrated technology system that our procurement function audit recently pointed out a great opportunity and need for. So we'll take first steps in that regard, all integrated into this budget. Strategy is the other point I wanted to make clear. We've reorganized. That was, of course, one of the key strategies. That was a strategy that allowed us in this budget to be able to address the need, say, for child support. Perfect example. By reorganizing, we were able to do it without spending more county levy dollars to get it done. We reorganized for EMS and emergency management so that we could go ahead and we could address anticipated and growing needs. We also budgeted with some strategy. We budgeted another $100,000. It's already included in here, another $100,000 beyond what we had in last year's budget for capital improvements, bringing the total now to $500,000 on our way to $1 million goal to include capital improvement dollars, significant dollars in our operating levy. That means you borrow less. So you're living more within your means every time you put another bit away into that account. So we're halfway there. We also appropriately used fund balance in one-time scenarios or in stepping stones toward figuring out longer-term funding strategies, or say for equipment replacements. We did some of that out of EMS, for example. And then preparing for the next levels of strategic planning. Those things are integrated into this budget. There's a long-range planning project for physical space needs and the whole campus concept in capital projects, and I've put a whole slew of projects in a pending category, including a jail, for example, because we need the long-range plan. We need to know what the big picture looks like. Then we'll know how to fit all of these pieces together and address these needs. We also need organizational strategic planning. We've pushed a lot of envelopes here. I said this was a tight budget. Right now, we're pushed greatly in many areas, and now it's time for us to redefine our priorities. And to do that, it's going to take an organizational strategic planning effort, and I've lined up a consultant that some of the staff members had the opportunity to listen to at a recent conference, a lean conference, and it's January 18th. I hope you will mark your calendar tonight. It's a full day strategic planning. I've got $10,000 in the county executive's budget as part of toward this. There will be some other things that follow beyond this session, but it'll start with a questionnaire, and we're going to be moving forward. So now we have to figure out how to do things differently because, again, we've squeezed everywhere we can squeeze with this budget. The county staffing picture, the snapshot is this: 13.68 FTE. These aren't bodies. These are full-time equivalents. Countywide, there's a net decrease of almost 14 FTEs across the county compared to last year. Compensation, it's pending labor negotiations. And the compensation study results, you put that in motion last year with the budget, and I expect by July we should have that study. It also sets aside a designated $250,000 for compensation adjustments to meet market demands, to make sure that we retain qualified, stellar employees. And if we don't have stellar employees, we couldn't be doing all of these great things that we're doing here right now. And our insurance premiums will remain the same for the second year in a row. This budget, to move us forward, this budget is tight and balanced. It keeps our operational levy flat. It increases the EMS levy by 3 cents. It retains all essential services. It enhances services in areas of growing or anticipated need. And it strategically positions us well to the future, so long as we seize the strategic planning options that are also integrated into that budget, which are so important. On this budget, we didn't take the easy way. We pushed ourselves. And all I could think about in this process was that so many people, so many businesses continue to be challenged, continue to be hurting through these tough times, and that raising taxes in any significant way was not acceptable to me, even though the cost of doing business continued to increase, fuel prices rising as an example. And yet, we put it together. Everybody worked hard on this, and we did it. And I believe it's a very responsible budget that looks out for the people of Portage County across all corners of Portage County, and it balances well all of the various needs and anticipated needs before us. I want to say that we did it because of the credit of directors and their staff in every unit, county workers and electeds that rose to this challenge and found a way. And it's not only about maintaining services in these times, but it's about enhancing them where we need to enhance them to avoid costs in the future, for example. And that's significant. So my kudos to everybody. And I'm going to offer you or anyone in the community an opportunity to provide feedback. I've got my information here, so it's easy on the PowerPoint when folks pull it off the web, that they know how to contact me to provide feedback, to ask questions, and so on.